everyone. It's exciting to be here with you all today. I'm going to go through some ideas for how you can implement some different things in a practical sense in your classroom. I'm still trying to keep it quite high level, so throughout the day when we have workshops together, if you want to discuss any of the things that I'm throwing out there now, I'd love to have those conversations with you. So first of all, we know that our future is looking pretty technology heavy. We know things are moving really rapidly, and that makes it quite tricky for us to predict what it might look like and what our future jobs might be. And so what we need to do is support our students to have the skills and the confidence to search out the information they're going to need, you know. Be confident to pick up a new bit of tech and have a bit of a play with it and work out how it works. So they're going to need all of those skills throughout their personal lives and in their working lives. So there was a recent survey of employers, and some of the things that they highlighted as things that they're looking for in employees are these soft skills. So not so much, you know, knowing the steps to operate this piece of machinery or the steps to do this. They want those soft skills, those transferable skills. So looking at adaptability and lifelong learning, looking at creativity and problem solving, critical thinking and decision making, and communication and leadership. They were the sort of major things that came out. So I thought we'd go through each of those step by step and have a little look at how we can support our students to develop those skills. Adaptability and lifelong learning, as I've already mentioned, it's tricky to predict what might come next. What might the future look like in terms of what careers are available? But we can make some predictions that it's going to move fast and that there's going to be lots of job changes over a lifetime. And I've got some stats I'll look at a little later, but I think it's something like currently the average number of job changes in an adult's life is like 12 already, and they're predicting that that's just going to get bigger. So we know our kids are going to have to keep skilling up through their whole lives, right? So things that we can do to help them do this is nurture that growth mindset idea that I can reach out, I can find information, I can develop my skills. I don't have a set group of skills and that's all I'm stuck with, but I can develop this. And with that goes that resilience and the perseverance that Rebecca mentioned earlier. So trying to support our students to build those skills up. But we can also teach them some practical skills in terms of research and self-education. Where could they look? Help them more with the process than look on this website or look in this book, but help them work out where are those sources of information coming from, where can I go to find more, and that can really help them just to be able to be that lifelong learner and seek out the information that they need. And we want to build the students' capacity to just pick up and run with stuff, have the confidence to play, you know, experiment. And I know that that's something that can be a bit challenging sometimes for us as teachers if we don't feel like we can just pick up and run with a piece of tech, if we don't feel free to explore, press the buttons, try and break it, see what happens. But it's really important, and we really need to support our students to do that. So some of the ways that we can do, like some of them are really simple, some of them are more complex. And one of the things that I found really helps students is that beneficial language. We use it, we can model using it, get our students to use it. So, okay, I don't understand this yet. It's fine, we can learn it. Even my 5-year-old daughter is learning to tail on a little yet to the end. Oh, I don't know how to climb that thing yet. But it's really powerful. And she has an extra little friend that she's the one that introduced her to it, and now say just run with it. It's great. Love it. We can help our students develop strategies around things. Okay, so similar to the knowing where to look for information, help them set goals, but then reflect. Where am I at right now? What are the gaps from where I am now to the goal that I want to achieve? And how can I fill those gaps? Where do I go to find out that information? Is there a course that I can do to build up my, you know, graphic design skills or my web development skills, or maybe it's a sporting thing, or like across the board? Okay, so working out how do I reach out and find that information that I need. So we can guide them through those processes, and eventually they'll be able to just do that without our support. So that's where we have the advantage. And also what I really like seeing is people integrating just this interesting tech as it comes up in your everyday classroom lives. So it doesn't look like, oh, we only play with this in this special lesson, so it's relegated to that. That's the only purpose it has. No, it's really useful across the board. So whether it's AI, whether it's the VR, the things that you're going to play with us today with, wherever you've got an opportunity to chuck it in, go for it. It just makes it more familiar, less scary, and the kids are more likely to be able to just pick up and run with it. So one of my little examples down the bottom is where you'd maybe normally use standard videos. If there's an opportunity to chuck in a VR video instead, like we're just going to grab that, off we go, everyday thing, it helps the students to build familiarity and confidence with those texts. So there's some pretty cool stuff. We've also got opportunities to capture. We'll play with some of these with you, and hopefully you'll start to get ideas of how you can use it in your existing teaching without having to necessarily change up too much, just sort of do a swap, a replacement of different tech. So yeah, there's some cool ideas there. So creativity and problem solving. A lot of this is around giving the students that space to explore. So we know we all encounter problems in work and personal lives that need solutions of various kinds. So it's really interesting that the research out there also links creativity to improved well-being and even longer lifespans. If you, as a person, you know how to solve your own problems, you feel better in yourself. You've got more capacity, you can solve your own problem, you're not relying on other people. It helps your well-being in general. So even outside of the classroom, just makes you feel better because you feel, capable. So this can help in all sorts of places. So mostly it's about providing opportunities for our students to express themselves in different ways, experiment with stuff, and safe risk-taking. So that ties in back with that perseverance and the resilience. Our students, our kids, they need to be able to take risks. Obviously not crazy risks, but they need to learn it's okay to fail, I can pick myself up, I can work out what went wrong, I can fix it. All of those things are really important for them to navigate life, not just work, but life in general into the future. But again, supporting that while we've got the students with us, while we've got our kids with us and we can help them with some practical strategies. Okay, so that went wrong, what do I do about it? Not just it went wrong, I give up, moving on. So all of that, as you can see, lots of these tie into each other. So some of the fun ways that we can do it in our classroom is to use a bunch of tools and strategies. So things, a lot of you are probably already doing a lot of this stuff. So your problem-based learning is great. Using design thinking, that's what we use in our lab a lot, ties in well to a lot of STEM spaces. Even the thinking hats, whatever gives you a little bit of structure and helps you sort of identify your strategies and what comes next, all of that is helpful. Wherever you've got opportunities to differentiate how students are presenting their information to you, if that fits and you can do it, it's great. So if you can give them a chance to choose what format they're going to present their knowledge in, go for it. They have control over their learning, they can pick a medium that works for them. Not every student is going to feel thrilled about writing an essay. Not every student is going to be thrilled about doing an oral presentation. So if for something, something that you're doing, the purpose is the knowledge in that topic and the actual presentation format isn't so critical, give them some choice if you can. Of course, I'm going to say, do a 360 video, that's fun. Get some VR glasses, immerse yourself in their experience. We'll show you how to do all those things as well, but just in general. Another thing that I love to do with students, with young people in general, is give them some kind of problem to solve, some tools, but minimal guidance. Let them go nuts, let them work it out for themselves. Because we have a lot of preconceived ideas about, well, this is the correct way to solve that problem. And that's not normally the only option. So giving them that opportunity to explore and find all that out and share it with you is exciting. It's exciting to see what they come up with. It's exciting for them to feel capable, okay? And it supports the creativity, the problem solving, but also the resilience and the growth mindset. All of that comes together. So one of our little examples here is, okay, we know we need to spray weeds in the fields. We've got some drones. Here's a drone. Here's a little bit of skeleton code maybe to get you going, some basic functions. What can you do? How are you going to solve this problem? Can this be done? Chuck that at them. Give them some time to play with it. How does it work? How do I tell from the drone where the weeds might be in the fields? Perhaps they look at some AI. Perhaps they dig into some vision processing. Perhaps they just go, you know what? This stuff works if we just spray it over everywhere regardless. Whatever, let them work through that, put it together, and get them to justify their choices and really think about it. Guide them through with those questions. So all that inquiry stuff, all that problem-based stuff is really good fun. So critical thinking and decision making. I think sometimes the critical thinking can be tricky to support our students with. So we know that society can be tricky to navigate. We're getting a lot of information from different sources and all of them are motivated by different things, okay? So we want to equip our students with the skills and the confidence in themselves to look at a bit of information that's presented to them and analyse, where is this coming from? Is it accurate? How is it serving the person that's put it out there? How is it serving me? Is it just straight facts, or are they trying to get me to think a particular way? And if they are, do I agree with that? We want them to make those decisions themselves, okay? So developing students' information fluency, so helping them to ask those questions. What's the source of this? Do they have a motivation? Is really, really valuable. And that, of course, is going to be helpful in their personal lives, in their work lives, just everywhere. But also helping them, and I mean, these are big concepts. You're not going to do one lesson and expect that everyone's going to be an expert on it. But helping them also to develop some self-reflection and being realistic about, well, what do I actually already know? I think I know all about this, but do I? Is that thought that I've got accurate? Can I back it up with facts? Or have I just heard it somewhere and it suited what I was expecting, so I ran with it? Like, it's a pretty powerful thing to be able to do that. But it is pretty confronting too, you know? So trying to give students opportunities to do that in a low pressure way to start with, so that they're equipped to do it when it becomes a really important thing, is very valuable for them. And those metacognitive skills that go with that. So this is where debate and research tasks are both actually really, really helpful. And get the kids to justify the opposite of what they think. See if they can. See if they can see things from another perspective. And it might consolidate their own, or it might get them thinking more broadly. Not going to know until they have a go at it. But the key things being that they have to justify what they're saying or what they're sharing with you and really think about it, not just, this is how it is and that's it and I'm not budging. So I think some of those things can be really helpful. Okay, so last one on our little list is this leadership and communication. So leadership can take all sorts of different forms. It could be leadership within a small group task. It could be leadership having, you know, a role in a school, like our beautiful students that presented earlier. You know, it can be obviously at work. You end up with leadership roles. You've got team, you know, you're seeing it all across your life. So supporting students with that, and also just being able to communicate with different people in different environments, having lots of practice with how we address different situations, how we get our point across, really important. Okay, there's people out there who they know their stuff, they're brilliant, but if they can't communicate it to you, it's really hard for you to pick up what they're trying to share with you, right? So again, it ties back into a little bit of that metacognitive stuff and that self-awareness, understanding a little bit about verbal and non-verbal. So drawing attention to these things that we do every day, but we maybe don't specifically pay attention to, giving them some chances to actually think about that and reflect on it. Again, with lots of variety of formats, encouraging students to communicate in different ways, and how do they get their point across in different mediums. But what I think is particularly valuable when you have the opportunity to do it is to get your students engaged in their community and with people whose backgrounds or situations or their point in life are different from their own. So open up their world. That's really going to help them understand a lot of those things. You know, what's going on around me? Why are these people doing things so differently to how I would? Oh, now I understand a bit about their background. I get it, right? So a bit of that compassion is pretty cool. So there's a couple of fun ways that you can do it. There's lots of fun ways that you can do it. Have your students look at maybe building their own little micro-business. Put a plan together. They don't have to actually enact it, but get them to put a plan together, but make them reach out and contact, well, I need prices for this. I need to know what the process is for that. I need to get them to do that. Get them to actually reach out and engage. Community events, something like that. Supporting, I'm not going to steal anyone's thunder. I'm going to let the St. Paul's team here talk about what they've been doing. But yeah, engaging in your community in different ways is really powerful. One of the fun things that I also like to do is get students to teach a skill to someone else. So it might be as simple as, you know, you've got, in a primary school, say, you've got your 6s and 7s and they've learned a particular thing. Okay, now teach that to the year 1, 2s. They've got to adjust their language. They've got to work out what those students' prior knowledge is. So they're having to put themselves in someone else's perspective. But it's a nice kind of friendly way of doing it too. So it's a good starting point. And if you really want to do something fun, use Alpha Mini, program him to teach the skill for you. So lots of little ideas there anyway. I'm happy to have a chat more about any of those that might have sparked an idea and how we can make it happen. So there is a little bit, just to sort of finish up my little section here, there is a little bit of a few predictions around what these future jobs might look like. Now, obviously, we don't know for sure. Some new thing could happen and completely derail these, who knows, okay? But currently, these are some of the major predictions of where future employment is going to be. So one is we know all our tech stuff is still growing, so that AI, automation and biotech are some of the areas that are predicted to be quite big, already growing and continuing to go that way. So, you know, advances in AI and robotics are going to change the way we live and work. We already have, you know, your Google Home and your Alexa and your smartwatch that we kind of take for granted, but they're right there with you all the time and you're engaging with those technologies already. So we expect that that's going to continue. Biomedical advances are going to improve our health. They're already doing that. And there's some interesting predictions around, you know, where is the border between man and machine? So if we're wearing these things at the moment, what's to stop us actually, you know, surgically inserting them and having them permanently? There are some very interesting performance artists out there who already do some of these things. Check it out. It's cool. It's confronting sometimes, but in a cool way. So they're interesting things to consider. I know that sometimes there's a bit of concern that, you know, some of these manual labour jobs are getting automated. There's still going to be jobs around that, just where the humans are needed is likely to shift more to designing those systems or maintaining those systems or working with those systems. So they're not going away, but where the roles are will shift. Nursing, medicine and healthcare is expected to be, it's already booming, but it's, you know, still growing. So the number of people aged 60 and over is expected to double by 2050 in terms of percentage of our population. So that means there's going to be a smaller percentage looking after a larger percentage, and we're going to need tools to support us to do that well. So there's expectation that technology will change the face of medicine, but we still need that human element. We still need our nurses and our face-to-face, you know, our healthcare workers, all of those roles. It might be that your doctor's doing telehealth and he might be, or she might be, you know, remote and doing all that stuff, but you still need someone face-to-face to help you take the right medication or have your vaccination or all those sort of things. So it's expected that nursing in particular is one of those areas that's going to boom. And of course, we've already mentioned lifelong learning, education and training. If people are going to need to upskill throughout their careers, they're going to need the tools and the systems to do that. So we're going to need educators in that space. We're going to need people who are designing, you know, self-paced systems, maybe AI type stuff to help you work at your own pace. There's going to be a lot of stuff around creating and delivering those training experiences, whether that's face-to-face, VR, a mixture of both. So there's lots of interesting things happening in all those spaces, but it's going to be exciting to see where it all goes.